Hey everybody, this is Mike, and I'm with,
Charles Woods.
and we are here. We're in Yonkers, New York, of all places, which is where Charles lives now, and we just wanted to share some things with you. We've been trying now to be speaking on live stream Thursday nights, addressing different topics and so forth. But this is just special for you. Not going to go long. We're just going to hit some topics, but. Welcome back, Charles. It's
Yeah.
so good to see you. I didn't expect to see you.
I'm feeling much better, and as I said in an earlier video, I just appreciate all the well wishes. A shout out to Welfare Dad, Miss J Jones, Tucson 558. I believe there's a name I haven't seen before, Mike. But he said some, you know, the real black family's been so respectful of me, and I'm humbled by it.
People really want to hear your thoughts and opinions about certain things that are going on, and in the flesh, not just on the phone. So I know last Thursday, one of the topics we covered was the whole Megyn Kelly blackface thing, which the day that we recorded, she got fired, and that was something that had just literally happened a couple hours before we recorded the live stream. So I know we've had nearly a week to digest that information. We've heard other people talk about from their perspective, was it just or unjust to fire her? Is it fair for anybody who is being hired by a corporation to literally lose their job because of social media blowing up certain instances and stuff? So I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts and opinions on this whole situation?
Well, first of all, I haven't heard anyone speak on their thoughts about whether she should have been fired or not.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was reaction by her co-workers, like Craig Melvin, Al Roker, and a couple other people who work for MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, NBC specifically.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to think about it and have my own thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I don't feel sorry for her. No way.
Mm-hmm.
She's got plenty of money. She was overpaid from the get-go. As I said earlier, just a Barbie doll. And a lot of times they don't realize the largesse that is available to them because they have the right complexion. And as I mentioned before, I was talking to my brother about Vanna White.
Mm-hmm.
She's living, what is it, La Vida Loca? How do you say that?
Mm-hmm.
She's living good. And what's she just doing? Moving letters on the board? And I think she was on a show. My brother said, yeah, she was on a show. And she says, oh, actually what I do is very difficult. You have to know the alphabet. So
So you clearly don't have a lot of respect for Megyn Kelly as an anchor, but when they brought her over to NBC, they felt that they gave her the whole platter. She's going to do investigative news show at night. She's going to host this daytime show, and they wanted to expand her whole vision beyond somebody who's just a Fox anchor person.
MSNBC, they spent a whole lot of money. They went out and got a lot of conservatives, brought them over to MSNBC. Fox is kicking butt. They are who they are. They don't make any apologies. MSNBC, as I said before, the reason why people with an agenda that's more about people, the reason why we don't get anywhere, we're too busy being nice guys. Mm-hmm. Okay? Once MSNBC brought over a cretin like Hugh Hewitt, it was over as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? And they beat the same drum. Rachel Maddow gets on there and she's got this tax form. And they make a big deal of that. And there's nothing there. Come on. And that's how the other side is saying they can get away with it's fake news and all of that. If you ain't got nothing, then keep it away from trying to make it like you got something.
Right. So, regardless of Megyn Kelly's qualifications or talent. She literally lost the Today Show as a result of saying that white folks should have the right to dress in blackface on Halloween. You know, was that fair? Was that just? Was that just firing?
They use this as an excuse. They paid her close to, now I hear it's about over $60 million. Her ratings were in the toilet. The people she replaced had higher ratings than she did. They were using this because they were trying to find a way to get out of it. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so from that perspective, I said, you know, it's bogus. It's hypocrisy. What I thought about in terms of what Megyn Kelly said, I think a lot of people tuned out. They didn't hear what she said. She said, so long as it's respectful. Mm-hmm. And I know we appropriate whiteness, we appropriate blackness, but if it's not respectful, then why do it? Mm-hmm. But what she needed to be schooled on was the fact that if, let's say, Zoe Saldana goes blackface mm-hmm. to play Nina Simone, we may object to it because she looked the way people look when they go blackface. It mm-hmm. looks like that Sambo image. Right. But she didn't do it to disrespect Nina Simone.
Right.
What happens with in the appropriation of blackness through minstrelsy, it started with minstrelsy mm-hmm. in the 1850s. It showed the impact that black culture would have on this society. Mm-hmm. But when it was appropriated with minstrelsy, it was never done with the intent of being respectful.
Right. So we are in a world right now where certain words will trigger, but certain people know the effect of certain words. So I think going in, Megyn Kelly knew that she's going to stir up some controversy when she brought that specific instance up in the conversation. You know, so there's certain words maybe they're not debatable when social media becomes part of it. Maybe the platform of a Today Show isn't necessarily the right place to even bring up words they're going to trigger without having space to explore them. You know, so it's almost like throwing a hand grenade into the conversation.
I mean, what the whole thing was, someone was trying to look like Diana Ross. Mm-hmm. Okay, and she said, "What's wrong with that?" Okay, maybe nothing's wrong with it. But when white folk put on blackface to imitate black folk, it's always in a demeaning, devaluing way. Mm-hmm. And that's something, you see, when you're brought up in this society, mm-hmm. You're getting a one-sided look at the race issue. You're getting it from the white perspective, is that nothing's wrong with it. Mm-hmm. You see? And so if you see nothing wrong with it, that's because they don't want you to think anything's wrong with it. Mm-hmm. And here's what was lost. In getting rid of Megyn Kelly, someone's going to applaud MSNBC as if that's the reason why they got rid of her, because we won't go there with blackface. Now, she didn't do this on MSNBC, but on Fox, mm-hmm. she spoke about whiteface, mm-hmm. and no one questioned that. That's what I mean when one of the viewers said, well, what's he talking about? Mm-hmm. Whiteface. Whiteface is when, in this culture, we have Jesus as a white person. Mm-hmm. Where is the documents? Where is the proof to say that Jesus is white?
Right. Well, but that folds into the other thing, just the social media and corporate sensitivity. It seems like virtually every week there is something that happens, goes viral on Twitter, Instagram, where people pipe up, it creates controversy, and corporations at this day and age would rather cut ties with the person than defend them. We saw it not just with Megyn Kelly, but even earlier with Roseanne and her Twitter comments. It's commonplace. Do you think that public figures have a higher responsibility in terms of what they choose to say in social media?
Well, the whole thing is, this is what I think is the most profound aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting upset with blackface, this concept of blackface, because you know it correlates to being an insult.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's being insulted. But what needs to be questioned is, if this is supposed to be a multicultural society,
Mm-hmm.
if the whole idea of, I'm sticking on this Jesus thing, okay? If the whole idea, you can have Santa Claus. The only negativity I have against Santa Claus is the fact that, like Baba Dick says, I think it's an atrocity to have this image of a white man, a red-faced white man with this white beard, this red suit, as the person you have to thank for all the things under your Christmas tree. Okay? So that goes to what it's all about. The way you propagate white supremacy is who you put out there as the gods and the idols for everyone in the culture to have this respect and this reverence for. That was never questioned. No one got upset when she said Jesus is a white man.
Right.
There should have been an outcry. People should have pushed her on that. Where is your support for that?
Right. Well, it's the same thing. Back to Roseanne. They knew she was a controversial character when they decided to reboot the Roseanne show, and they went along with the fact that they allowed her to be a pro-Trump working class woman, and they took tons of heat on Twitter. But then she did one tweet that was deemed racist, and it was game over for her. Is there room in the society? Should we be tolerant of people that are blatant with it? I mean, I still feel like a lot of what we're seeing, even like, even not taking away from like the physical actions, the terrorist acts that people who have been going out shooting up synagogues and stuff. A lot of people feel more free to speak their mind, their racist thoughts, in social media behind a mask. They feel like they're part of a group. And corporations, media companies, they seem to tolerate it until it affects their bottom line, and then it's game over for these people, especially white women.
The thing I want to say on this matter, Mike, and is that what we lose sight of is the big picture.
Okay.
Okay? The big picture is, when they had Archie Bunker on, okay, people loved Archie Bunker. And the creators felt that through Archie Bunker, we'd be able to discuss and see how erroneous this kind of thinking was. But this guy in the personality, the persona of Archie Bunker, you kind of like selling what he had to say. You're selling that. You're making it like, what is very...
It's an endorsement of that type of attitude.
Yeah, what is very harsh, humiliating, and demeaning and devaluing. You're giving a character who's helping to propagate that. Because I can understand, there are two sides to every story. Ideally, yes, you're saying we want to bring this to the fore. But what's happening is you're popularizing something that they want to popularize in this culture. And in any way they can find a means of doing so. What this culture sells is white supremacy. Okay? So, what you don't get, because people are afraid, you don't get the attack on black folk who do it. All right? That's what I point out. See, I'm not afraid to tell you that if you want to go after Megyn Kelly for making this faux pas, how many of our own get into this same nonsense? Okay? And I'll say it. There are a lot of things that the Wayans brothers, what they do. You know, if you look at Senseless, the thing they did with Patrick Ewing, comparing them to a Sasquatch, that's demeaning and devaluing blackness.
Right.
How many black jokes did Wesley Snipes have to suffer?
Right.
From white folk couldn't get away with it, but black folk were running on it.
Well, to be fair, all that's pre-Twitter. You know, we're
Pre-Twitter.
Pre-Twitter.
How you mean pre-Twitter?
I'm saying you could have these people say these things, but it wasn't spread out in the broadest sense. I'm saying, what examples do we have today of black celebrities, personalities saying culturally insensitive things in social media and getting a pass?
I'm talking about, for example, with motion pictures. I'm talking about you can. How many people? They didn't get rid of Cheryl Underwood when she made the thing about her hair, did they? And if we expect Megyn Kelly, because she's white, someone said, well, because she's white, she's not aware of that. But I know Cheryl Underwood knew better, but she said something that upset a lot of black folk. But she didn't lose her job.
Right.
But she profusely apologized. She was hurt, and she was forgiven. But see, right away, this is what happens where we get accused of a double standard. I know Whoopi. She caught hell with the Ted Danson thing.
Right.
Ben Vereen. See? But what I'm saying is if we're talking about, let's say, more recently, how many the white rappers have come out and said, I don't want no dark-skinned women. Okay? The movies that are made, those things can be seen forever. So if I go watch a Wayans movie, and just recently with Meet the Blacks,
Right.
Blacks and Omar Epps are going at it. And well, you follow what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, the guy.
But no one is saying anything about us when we get caught up in this nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate even to say the name, Jesse Lee Peterson. He makes a living off of being anti-black. It's like, is that what you're saying? The double standard exists where black people can say bad things about our race, our culture, and there's no consequence. However,
one of the movies, The Great White Hype. Damon, his character says to the guy who wants to challenge him, "Man, get out of here, man! You look like an oil slick." All right. Oh, what's that? That's humor.
right.
Okay. So the thing is, we were upset when white folk, for years, humiliated us with step and fetch it. And they got the oiliest, greasiest blacks who approximated how white folk looked in blackface to be the stars. Okay? You couldn't get fair-skinned blacks to play domestics in mainstream films. The only place fair-skinned blacks or blacks who were beautiful in their own skin, dark skin, whatever, the only place you could see them where they weren't being humiliated was in the race movies, right? But in Hollywood, Hattie McDaniel became a star for a reason. She had the weight, she was very dark skinned, and in many ways they said, okay, this approximates if we had the old, because before they went to using actual black actors, they were in blackface, and blackface, the way they did it with blackface, it made us look stupid.
Right.
And that's what it was all about. But the thing is, we were upset with that imagery because we knew that it was humiliating and devaluing us. So the thing is now, what upsets me more than anything else is when we get a chance, because we keep crying out
Yeah.
for authenticity. But when we get the chance, how many of our black directors and producers, how many of them are using us in diverse ways where it shows us as beautiful people?
Right.
We just get caught up in the same old stereotypes, the same old tropes.
Okay, well, that sets us up perfectly for the next thing that we're going to talk about. I want you to stay tuned. Charles and I are going to review the latest Tyler Perry movie, Nobody's Fool.